Good afternoon. We'll start in 5 minutes. We'll start in 4 minutes. Two minutes. We'll start in 1 minute. So welcome back. I'm Renee from Reflections Art Studio. Welcome to my free online visual journaling class. Today we are going to add some finishing details onto the fun that we started yesterday and try to pull everything together. Just a little bit about the class. I've been running it every day at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. My goal is to help people live a happy, healthy, creative life by teaching them art techniques to help them express themselves in a visual journal. Of course, these can be applied to canvases as well. But for now, while you're learning and exploring, it's a good idea to do it in a visual journal. I'm using a watercolor journal right now, but you can use whatever you have in your house. And just sort of like a public service announcement, the food bank continues to be needing donations. So if you like what you're seeing and want to say thank you, you can give back to the food bank. I'd appreciate that. And this is how you donate to the food bank. It's donate at mhfoodbank.com, and you can e-transfer and just stay in the comforts of your house. You don't have to go down there. And one other thing is, I don't know if you know, but I have a Facebook group that you can join. And it's where you can share your work, but there's no share button, so nobody else can share what you've done. And it's called Renee Loves Art Reflections Visual Journaling Group. I know it's wordy, but I have a blog called Renee Loves Art, so I tried to tie it into that. And so it's a safe place where you can post what you've done in our class, and it's very supportive. It's just a small group right now, but it's growing. And also, if you can't watch the whole video, you can go to Reflections Art Studio, or at Reflections Art Studio, and watch the recorded taping of this. And you can also go to YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. It's Renee Dowling Reflections Art Studio, and all the videos are uploaded on there. So let's get started. It's a little bit quiet today. I'm not playing any music because Facebook keeps sending me messages saying that I'm playing music that doesn't belong to me, which is weird because everybody does videos with music and they do parties and dance parties and stuff and they post them. So I don't know what the problem is. But anyways, let's get started. I'm going to just change the camera view. This is the page that we did yesterday. We started off by scribbling and with a pencil and made sections, and then started collaging. So first we began with book pages, and then we did things like just painting solid colors, and then painting two colors on top of each other and etching into them with a skewer or paper clip or whatever you have, something that has a sharp tip. We used some stencils. We painted one color, then painted it over another, then put a stencil down and rubbed off some of the paint. We did just basic stenciling. We did some finger painting. On this one, I used an old comb. So I painted black first, then yellow, and then scraped away paint with a comb. So now it's time to tie it all together. And I started by using a brush pen, and when we first started, it had a path in it, and it seems like each day I seem to be having a path of some sort. So I want to try to continue it. Here's a path going down the bottom. And then again, this is what I was playing with yesterday that I finished. Well, after we were finished the lesson, I wanted to do some more, and I didn't want to finish that page, so I went and did this one. And so this one has, again, a whole bunch of paths. And so I thought I would continue that theme of a path. I also incorporated some of the little houses that I did on the previous pages. And so this is, you can go along the pencil lines that you already have, or you can make new marks as well. I think I would like to maybe put another path. I think I'm going to go against this one here and just kind of now you can make it thicker, you can make it curvy and wavy kind of thing, but I already started really straight and curvy ones, so I'm not going to do any zigzag or anything crazy like that. Oh, here's my line that I think I'm going to go for. People are starting to share their work with me, and I'm so touched that they're benefiting from the visual journaling lessons and One lady said she started off by just joining just for something to do in the afternoon, and it's turned into something more. It's turned into her kind of digging deep down and discovering herself a little bit. So that's really cool. And that is what my mission is to help people live a happy, healthy, creative life. Oh, I really like how that's kind of adding some contrast between the white and the black there. And another idea is to put finishing details in as well, is you can go over parts that you've already started. And I'm just going to put my black marker away here because I need to think about this a little bit. So I'm going to use my acrylic paint again and use my skewer. And I think what I want to do is tie in this more into the yellow because it's sort of, it sort of needs a little more connection. So just by adding little tiny, the end of a skewer is round. Again, I don't expect your pages to look like mine. This isn't a paint night or paint day kind of thing, but I just want to show you some different ways to express yourself, just help you breathe and change your thinking as we're going through all this isolation together. And because I added dots here, I think I'll add dots here as well. Again, if you don't have paint, you could always use markers or pencil crayons or whatever you have. Just remember to think about what you're using and how it's going to affect you. So if you want to do journaling later on, you don't want to use waxy things because it's waxed and markers do not get along with each other. You can see my fingerprints in my paint. That's kind of neat. Good. That's starting to look better. Now I have to deal with these pages here. Now they're the natural book pages, but I don't want them that color. They don't even go with anything else on my page. So I'm going to do what I would normally do is with watercolor is a wash, but you can also do the same idea with your paints. Excuse me. So you can just add a little bit of water and then your colors will continue to be it'll be translucent instead of opaque. And I am going to go darker instead of lighter. And I'm going to add that purpley color that's over there because I think it'll tie everything into nicely. I like this. This is Craftsman paint, Craft Smart paint. It's really inexpensive, but I like it because I can still read the words underneath if I want to. And again, if you add water and you add too much, just tap it off with your rag. And you might like the texture, but I'm just going to make it a little darker here. There. Yeah, that's starting to tie everything in better. Then I'm going to also do it over here in the corner. So it's sort of acting like a border. And then that way too, if I went over sections previously, I can start integrating my stenciling more into the Anybody who has shared their work with me, I've entered your name into a fishbowl for a full day art retreat when all of this is over. I don't know if I want purple there, smack dab in the middle. Maybe what I'll do is I'll make it light and then I can always decide if I want it. Well, with acrylic paint, you can always paint over it too with another color and nobody will know the difference. I think I might like it dark. Acrylic paint dries darker. Watercolor paint dries lighter. So when you're doing watercolor paint, you always want to put more on. And then I think what I'm going to do too is maybe put a border of purple around. Okay, yeah, because it sort of jars your attention right there. So what I'm also going to do with my black is I'm going to add a little bit of that purple around it. I'm going to just change to, this is a rigger brush, and it's used for drawing like rigging on a ship and stuff like that. What you need to do is make sure it's wet and really put in a lot of paint, and it comes to a fine tip. But you can all do all kinds of crazy things with it. Yeah, I like it. Well, doing this, it draws your eye away from that center part there, and I'm going to continue across. If your paint's being stubborn, maybe you need to add a little water. Yeah, I like that. Okay, then I'm going to do that in the other places that I've already added black. Again, if you say, oh, I don't want to cover that off, all you got to do is, before it dries, just wipe it off. It's not a big deal. And just go like that. Then you can just clean it up, no problem. I'm going to put my clips back on. My page is flopping around. There we go. Good. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. Again, there's no right and wrong. This is your book. You do what you like in it. I know on days when I don't create art, if I have gone several days without doing something, I can start to tell. I get all kind of agitated and I know something's missing. Then as soon as I come to my studio and start painting, then all of a sudden my perspective changes. Like, why did I wait so long to do this? The best thing is, I've heard some people say on Facebook, oh, I wish I could do this. It's like, well, quit wishing and just do it. That's how you get better. You're not born with the talent. You practice, just like any other thing. You have to practice, and the more you do, the better you get. And I just went all sloppy here. There, so what am I going to do? Just wet my rag and wipe it off, or kind of blend it a little bit. Yeah, there we go. I like how it's starting to come together now. I was thinking, oh, I don't know if I like this one as much as my other page, but I am starting to. Again, keeping in mind that the idea is to breathe and just have fun and actually not worry too much if it's a pretty picture, but I know that's hard to get out of your mind. There, that's looking better. So I'm wondering if I should, well, like I said, I can always wipe it off. So I'm going to try going around the outside with the purple. And I could use, yeah, I'm just going to stick with paint. The reason why I chose red, or this purpley color, is because I was feeling like the yellow needed to pop a little bit, and yellow and purple are complementary colors to each other. I don't think I'm going to go across my path though, because I want it to be like it continues on. Maybe I won't do that then, because then I'll close up all my paths. So what do? I just dip my rag and wipe it off. No problemo. Yeah. Okay. So now other things that you can do to put finishing touches on or start to do a little bit of more mark making. And if it makes you nervous to use paint, then get out your other supplies. So once again, I'm going to pull out my Neocolor 2 water-soluble markers, or they're not markers, they're like wax crayons. And I'm going to go back to the purple and just I'm going to see if I can sharpen these, like it a little bit sharper. Just like you did when you were a kid and you got the box of Crayola crayons with the sharpener. Oh, you can do that with these too. Ooh, nice. Okay, so I am going to go around these circles here. Bring in that purple some more. Ooh, yes. Good choice. If I want to, I can add some water to these and spread out the purple, but I won't today on this one anyway. And then the question is, do I keep going? Every time I create, doesn't matter what it is, I get to that stage where I go, oh, I don't know if I like this. I kind of call it the, no offense to any teenager, but the ugly teenager phase, But that just is telling me that I'm not finished yet and that I need to keep going. I'm just not done yet. So instead of destroying it and starting all over, just tell yourself, it's just not finished yet. And sometimes it takes days to get to that stage. You have to think about it and step back and dance around the room. Do something else, then come back. It's like, oh, now I know. So these circles could represent certain things going on in your life, or it could just be about just like circles. I could apply meaning to everything I do, but I don't always share it with somebody because maybe they have their own story that they can see in it. There. Yeah, that's making it look all tied together better. So as I'm doing this, I'm sort of thinking about, okay, how am I going to put the last finishing touch on things? It could be a quote. It could be my journaling that I want to add on. It could be lyrics from a song somewhere. It could just be saying, hey, I'm done now and I'm not adding anything else. But I always tell myself that and then go back and add more. Art just ends in interesting places. It's exciting to see people coming back. All right, so we have that visible triangle when your eye bounces from one to the next, and we have the purple here and the yellow here. I'm liking that. I'm just not so happy about the white and my basket weave marks here. And this white here is just glaring. So I'm thinking that I might, since I've used a lot of purple, I might go back to yellow And I'm going to do what I usually do, like I said before, with watercolor, is do like a wash. And yeah, I'm going to go over top. And then what this does is it starts to tie it in with what is already there, but you still can see the marks. And then when you're doing this too, you might even decide to go over colors that you already have. And again, it'll just change the color a little bit to tie it all into what you've already done. And again, if you decide you don't like it, and it's on top of acrylic paint, you can always pull it off. There, I like that better. And then I'm going to pull it over my stenciling here and get a little bit different look too. And then I'm just going to tidy it up a little bit here. So I don't want that black to disappear, but I can always go back over top. I had a lady send me a message yesterday saying that she's wondering what I could offer her teenage sister who's having a hard time at home with mom, with the virus going on. So I said, well, there's options. If you want to do private things, I can do things like Zoom or FaceTime or Skype, do some private kind of lessons online. But I shouldn't have read the message before I went to bed, because that's all I thought about while I was trying to sleep. What was I going to say to this lady? It's a good message. Don't watch the news before you go to bed, and don't check your messages. There. Yes, that's much better. All right, so now I'm just kind of deciding, do I want to add anything to the purple in the corners, or just say, leave it as it is? I think what I'm going to do is just make sure this is dry, and then I'm going to add some journaling. Now, for my page that I did yesterday, I just, instead of using a stencil or anything like that, I just took a paintbrush and just wrote out the letters myself, and then just tried to come up with my own style. I know there's some people that can do calligraphy and all those wonderful kinds of things, but oh, my writing is backwards. Just switch it over. But another cool thing is just kind of come up with your own fonts instead of worrying about doing it all fancy. Because lots of people say they don't like their own writing, but it's what you have, so why don't you just use it the best that you can? So at first I was going to leave this all playful, and then yesterday after this session, my granddaughter Skyped me. She is 5, and she started the Skype by saying that she was really sad that she couldn't come visit me. They were supposed to come on next Sunday for the week, and she said that she was really upset that she hasn't been able to see me very much, and she was worried that what if this virus went on forever and she could never see me again. So we had a conversation about we can always still keep Skyping whenever she wants, and she has to ask her daddy first, but he usually says yes, that she can Skype. And so it got me kind of upset last night, and I was kind of tearful. So I might write down some words that she said, and then some things that we've done to kind of stay in. These columns here are kind of like isolated paths, but this path here is open on the end and it goes over there to show that, we'll get through this. I know I was going to try and keep this all light kind of thing, but it's on my mind, and I thought about it last night in my sleep too. So I better get it down on my journal so that I can feel better. And now I'm just deciding what kind of thickness. I think I'll stick with this small Pitt pen. And so again, it'll take about 7 minutes to journal whatever's on your mind, or come up with certain words, even just like words like frustrated, or maybe you are glad to have some time to yourself, some me time. Maybe you want to set a goal. What are you going to do down your path? So I'm just going to have a little bit of quiet time here to finish off my page with some journaling. Whenever we start Skyping, it's always like, oh, hi, Brooklyn. And there's a great big smile, kind of like the yellow on here. It just brightens my day. And then we sing songs, and we counted yesterday, and we practiced the alphabet. Okay, so here we go. Sometimes I have to take a deep breath and go, I'm not going to wreck my journal by writing in it. That's what it's for. Here we go. just take a few minutes to finish off your thoughts. All right, I'm sitting here still trying to figure out if I should call this finished. Remember to always put your name and the date on your page. It's sort of interesting to see the journey. And also, this is part of history. We haven't had a pandemic since 1918 with the Spanish flu, and so we've never experienced things before. I was watching a live video today, and it was the guest that they were interviewing on Sketchbook School was a man from France, and he was journaling about how every day they usually go and get a baguette from the bakery, and that's their part of their daily culture. And he was saying that people are still going because the bakeries are essential services, but people are lined up with masks, and he said it sort of reminded him of war times. And it's all a part of history, right? So you can acknowledge your feelings or you can hide from them, but if you hide from your feelings, then they build up, and then you can go into depression and all that kind of thing. So you can get out your feelings, and then you feel better and be more optimistic. I'm thinking I am going to call this finished. Okay, so I'm just going to sign it, and I'm going to sign it here instead of on the edge because I don't want it to interfere with over there. And like I said, you can always come back and add more, and I might too, but for now, it's April 1st. Robins are out, meadowlarks are singing, even though there's snow on the ground again. There's lots to be positive about. Even if we're alone. But not really alone, because we can always connect, and the internet is working better today. Hallelujah. Okay. So yeah, the idea of this was to quiet your mind, just play and have fun, try some different techniques. Like I said, I don't use acrylic paint a lot, but I think I might start doing some more. Since it's just been half an hour, I thought that I would also introduce one other technique in case this wasn't your cup of tea. And I'm going to just make sure it's all dry. I'm going to start a new page. And this is a really simple, easy kind of thing to do. It's a really good exercise to do when you want to do something, but you're not sure what, and you don't want to be getting out a whole bunch of supplies. Maybe you just have your little travel watercolor kit or whatever. And so I think I'm going to say, okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to think about color. One color that represents how you feel about today, about April Fool's Day, about spring, what you feel about birthdays, what you feel about vacations, whatever. But I just want you to choose one color. And I think I am going to go back to my watercolor paint because we're going to stick with one color, But of course you can choose different shades of that color, different hues of it. But I want to try to keep it really simple. And then I want you to also think about a shape that represents how you feel. Now, a shape could be circle, rectangle, square, triangle. Did I say that already? It could be things like stars and hearts if you want to be go that route. Okay, so what color do I want to use today? Now that I journaled all that off my mind, I actually feel a lot better. But I think I'm going to go with blue anyways, because I'm wearing a blue scarf and blue jewelry. So I want you to make a pool. I don't even have a very clean area to do that on. Maybe I'll do it on this lid. Just clean it off. Again, it could be other things like teardrops if you feel that way, but the idea with this is just to kind of create without a bunch of fuss. Like the last page we did, it was playing and there was lots of different things going on, but this was just kind of pure and simple. Okay, so I want you to make a pool of blue. Or whatever color you chose. I'm just saying blue because I'm using blue. And then I want you to decide on the shape. What shape do I want to use? Like I'll just kind of show you. These are some that I've done previously. On this one, I chose to do just simple brush strokes, and I used orange. And so I have different darknesses and lightnesses of orange. So I might add a little bit of yellow. Well, of course, I mix my own orange, so I had red and yellow, so I'm going to use yellow anyways. But it's just kind of real simple. Here's another one that I did, and just purple. And I did circles. And on the circles, I was listening, and all of a sudden a song came on. It said, "You Keep Me Believing." And so that's what I went with. And then I wrote down the lyrics of the song. And then I started adding some things that were personal, or just some things that I am grateful for. And just have different purples, and they go off the page in different sizes. So that's how we're going to add contrast, is by doing different sizes. And then also leaving some space between, and have the white show through from the page. And then on the orange one, I also, while I was doing this, a song came on, "I Have a Life That's Good." Every time I hear that song, I cry my eyeballs out. I love that song so much. And then again, I wrote some of the lyrics, and then I put down all the things that I'm grateful for, what makes my life good. So that's sort of giving you an idea of where it could go. Just really simple, fun. Okay, so shape. I've done rectangles, I've done circles. What shape represents how I feel right now? It could even be curvy lines if you want. I'm thinking I might do something I haven't done for a long time, and that is triangles. I actually hardly ever do triangles. And you can change the direction of triangles. It's interesting if you ask kids, "Is this a triangle, the one that I'm doing right now?" And they'll say, "No, it's not a triangle." Well, what makes a triangle a triangle? 3 sides. Well, doesn't this have 3 sides? Yes, but that's a triangle, but that's not. It's like, well, the direction of it doesn't change that it's a triangle. Just kind of do them randomly. Of course, with watercolor, to make it lighter, you just add more water. This paper is actual watercolor paper, so if I want it darker around the edges, I'm just going to tap it in. Remember, wherever your water is, that's where your paint is going to go. I'm just going to go around the outside. Now, if I want blue to go darker, you can add its complementary color, which is orange. And I always have to mix my colors because I don't have any orange watercolor. And that way, and that's sort of too red still. There. So what you can do is you can tap in a darker color and then you kind of get some shading. If you want to go more complicated. If you want to just stick to just using different I'm just going to let that be and see what it does. I have to say here, I'm not doing very well at making triangles pointy, but that's okay. So I have some going off the page. I'm trying to stick to one brush, but I might go to a smaller brush. I'm not getting points very well. Now, if you want it darker and you just can't seem to get it, just let it dry. And then you can go over it with another layer. I don't know if I'm too crazy about triangles, actually. All right, I'm going to change to a smaller brush. I'm going to do a giant triangle. Just going to tap some paint in.
Just remember to breathe as you're working and not have your shoulders up in the air. That helps. There, now it's starting to feel better. When you start turning your mind off and quit being judgmental, then things go better. So I got to stop saying, I don't like these. I'm going to turn my page. So trying to keep equal distance between each one. I'm also going to put just a piece of paper underneath because I don't want it to go onto my art underneath. You could use wax paper to do that. But if marks go on this page, then that's okay because I'll use it for some other collaging papers. I'm going to do another large one. Now, if you find you get a line that's really harsh here, and you don't want that, then just take your brush and kind of scribbling, I think it's called. Just dry off your brush. Because this is not the highest quality watercolor paper, you don't have as much freedom. Like if you use some like Arches watercolor paper or Fabriano, that kind of thing, you can do more. You have more time to do things because your paint kind of sits on top. Or sometimes books like this, they sort of absorbs the paint faster than it can move. There, that's a little bit better. Okay. Let's see. So this one here have that sort of greeny color that looks like there's a little heart there. That's kind of neat. Maybe I'll emphasize that. I like how Bob Ross, happy little accidents. I'm just going to go around that little heart, and because it's dry in the middle, it should stay. So I guess I should try to replicate that color again somewhere else. Maybe over here. Just adding my orangey mixture, sort of more green. See what happens there. And I'll do it one more time, maybe here. So we're trying to get some dark blue, light blue, different sizes. And different, because triangles, there's so many different kinds of triangles, you have a little bit more flexibility than you would if you are just doing squares and rectangles. You can do some right-angled triangles, some cute little ones. You could try overlapping some shapes too if you like. I should do another one here. Now, when you turn your book, you just make sure that your book isn't upside down. I've done that many times, and I'm like, oh, what have I done? So you can tell after a while, you sort of get into the routine of it, and I'm just going to add some more blue, and it becomes more relaxing. Then you can think about, is there a quote that goes with your color that you chose and the shapes that you chose? Maybe I will do a larger one here. I like how that looks like a cloud. But if you want to get fancier and add some stenciling into these, you're welcome to. But the idea of this one was just to kind of keep it really simple. Something that you could easily do while sitting and watching TV. So this could be called a monochromatic because we're using the same color. I think I just need to add a couple, well, maybe some little tiny ones. Come on. This is making me think of pizza. There, and so then now that some of them are dry, you might go back and say that you want some darker areas. Maybe you just want to do another wash over top of what you already have. Then you'll get a darker blue. There. Pretty. Oh, this one here should be fixed. There. So the next stage then is adding some journaling to it. So you go across your page. You can write in the square in the shape that you've done. It's up to you what you do, but it's just kind of a fun little activity to do. So your homework for today is to finish already started. Maybe add some journaling or a quote or some fancy lettering to this. And tomorrow we'll have another way to do some visual journaling. It's a comic. I'm used to using basic squares, limiting your color palette and limiting text and just kind of real simple fun things to do.
And please remember to share what you've done. And if you are able to afford it, if you have a little extra money, I know it's the end of the month, so maybe you have a payday coming in, you could donate to the Mesnat Food Bank. And you can always go back and watch the previous lessons. They're saved on Facebook on my at Reflections Art Studio page and on my YouTube page. And if you have any suggestions for improvement, I'd love to hear them. If you have any compliments, I'd love to hear those too. And thank you so much for joining me. And I hope you have a very healthy, happy day. And hopefully see you tomorrow.